Thanks for joining Street TV. Thanks for tapping in with Street TV. I'm joined
Hey.
by Angee Smallz, who went to Young Ant Jefe's court date today. I believe he had an arraignment, and Angee Smallz was in the house. So tell the people what happened. What did you see? What did you witness today?
Okay, so I got there, right, and he was in the arraignment court. It was a little bit different than what I've experienced before, but long list of other people that they kind of group everybody in, bunch of appointments, bunch of lawyers. I'm sitting out in the hallway, right, and I had to check in, and the officer tells me she'll call me. She asked me who I was there for. And luckily I had just read the board, so I knew his real name, Maurice Shelmon. So I sounded like, instead of me just being like, oh, Young Ant Jefe, I said Maurice Shelmon. And she said, are you a supporter or a victim? And I said supporter. And so she was like, okay, we're going to come out and get you. We'll say his name when you can come into the court. And I was like, okay, cool. So I'm sitting out there and I see a guy walk up, right? And this guy, he's talking on the phone and I hear him say, and I kind of figured real quick, he was talking about Young Ant Jefe. He was a friend of Young Ant Jefe. And sorry, I had something in my tooth. I just ate lunch. And I'm hearing him on the phone, and he said that he knows the defense. I don't know if I'm going to put their business out there like that. This is just something I overheard, right?
Wait. He wasn't talking to you?
He wasn't talking to me.
So he was having a private phone call.
He was having a private phone call, but
all right. So I don't want to divulge his private phone call.
Okay. He was speaking real loud though.
All right. Well, let me ask you, did you get a chance to talk to him after you heard him on the phone call?
I wanted to, and he did notice me when I went into the court because there wasn't anybody else there for Young Ant Jefe. It was me and this other guy. And I'm telling you, I put two and two together. I was like, he's talking about Young Ant.
All right. So I don't want to talk about that guy unless you met him. You could have went up to him and maybe he would.
I'm going to tell you why I didn't, because I was going to introduce myself to him. I did say hi. And I was going to tell him why I was there. He saw me taking notes. So he started kind of like eyeing me. And then I'll tell you what happened after we left, because I didn't talk to him when we were sitting inside because, I'm paying attention to the judge. But when we left, I'll tell you what happened afterwards. So anyways, so we go inside. He starts eyeing me up, right? Because he's like, why is this girl taking notes? And I'm the only other person going inside the courtroom at the same time as him. And I was about to call Aunt Maurice. Maurice, when I go inside, Johnnie Gray and Young Ant Jefe are both inside of like the plexiglass area. So Johnnie Gray, the judge referred to Johnnie Gray as defendant number 1 and Ant Jefe as defendant number 2. Johnny had a yellow jumpsuit on and Young Ant Jefe had a blue jumpsuit on. So maybe you know the significance of some of these small details. I don't really know, but that's what happened. So Johnny had his own lawyer. Young Ant Jefe was there with a public defender.
How were you able to determine that?
Because I heard them say that.
Okay.
So Young Ant Jefe doesn't have a lawyer. He probably has a lawyer now. So, and I'll tell you why I think that. But at the time, so the judge, there is a very short arraignment. The judge asks what both of their pleas are. They both say not guilty. And then she says that they have the right to a speedy arraignment. Do they want to waive their speedy arraignment? Because I think Johnny's lawyer, someone wanted to push the date back more. And the judge kind of assumed, I feel like she kind of assumed that they both wanted to waive that right to a speedy arraignment and they wanted to get more time, but they both declined to waive. It's kind of confusing because they both were allowed to like waive their right for an arraignment, but they both declined to waive it, meaning they want this shit to move very fast. So they did not waive their right to a speedy hearing. And it looks like Ant Jefe didn't know what to say. Johnnie was like, no, I don't want to waive it. And Johnnie was like, I have other charges that I need to address and I just want to go home. He was like, I want to get this done as soon as possible. And then when they asked young Ant Jefe, and they were standing 10 feet apart, they were not by each other. So they weren't like looking to each other for like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? They were both on the other sides of the plexiglass. I mean, they were on the same side, but they were separated. And so Johnnie again had a lawyer. And the lawyer said he did not want to waive the right. And then they asked Maurice. So the guy that was sitting in front of me, he's looking at Ant Jefe and he's like, do not waive it. Do not waive it. So Ant Jefe is looking at him like, what do I do? Should I waive it and say I waive my right? And then it's going to prolong the process. Sometimes
I got to interrupt. You're saying that Johnnie had a lawyer, but Young Ant didn't? But you said you had a public defender, though.
He did.
Okay, so the public defender would be Ant's lawyer.
Okay.
So are you saying that Young Ant and the other defendant, Johnnie Gray, they're actually talking to the judge, or the lawyer's doing the talking?
They both were talking to the judge. The judge was asking them questions, but so they're on this side of the plexiglass. The public defender is right in front of Ant Jefe, kind of like looking at him, like asking if he had any questions. And then Johnnie had his lawyer right in front of him.
Okay. How when you said that they were standing 10 feet apart, were they separated by a barrier, or were they behind the same barrier where they could actually touch each other, reach each other? How was that?
They were behind the same barrier, but they were very far from each other.
Okay.
They were separated. It didn't look like they wanted them being able to say anything to each other. And honestly, they didn't look like they were, I don't want to say, it didn't look like they wanted to talk to each other, in my opinion. They didn't look like they were there as homies, in my opinion.
Okay. So they both said not guilty when asked?
Yes.
And then what kind of talking did the lawyers do?
They didn't do very much. Johnny's lawyer did ask, the judge did ask him to come up to the podium. So when Johnny's lawyer said, no, we don't want to waive the right, I think the judge was a little taken back by that, because I think I'm just kind of speaking generally, but I feel like people that don't know the law, they're just going to be like, oh, waive the right. Okay, waive the right. You know what I mean? Like they don't really know what they're waiving. And they'll just say, okay, sure. If it sounds like we're prolonging something, giving me more time, maybe. But that if you don't have a lawyer advising you, I feel like you still can make the wrong decision. I don't know. So anyways, I think the judge was she asked Johnny's lawyer to come up to the podium because she really kind of wanted more clarification. Like, why are you waiving this right? So he did go up to the podium. They spoke. I couldn't hear them. And so they just said, and then that's the only time that Johnnie spoke, is when he said, I want to get this thing going. He was like, I have other charges I'm trying to address and I want to go home. So it sounds like they both think that, they have chances. Obviously, they're innocent to proving guilty. So they both think that they have a chance to get out of there, is what it sounds like.
So when the judge was communicating with Johnny's lawyer and the lawyer went up to where the judge was at, did Johnnie and the lawyer both go up to where the judge was at together?
No. The guys are behind the plexiglass. The lawyers are standing in front of them on the other side of the plexiglass.
So Johnny's lawyer went up to the judge and had a conversation that you couldn't hear.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did they look? What was their demeanor like?
Ant Jefe, he was sitting down when I first walked in, and then he stood up. I mean, he didn't look scared. I mean, he looked kind of normal. He kind of looked just like, maybe it's because he saw his friend there, and he didn't look too worried, in my opinion. Like, again, there was no one there supporting other than that guy that I saw, that I noticed. I thought there would have been, like, maybe I would have ran into Trap Lore or somebody from No Jumper. I thought I heard Lush down the hall for a second. I mean, I thought somebody would have showed up today, and no one did. So he seemed, again, I mean, I don't know him. I've never met him in person, but he seemed like he was just doing the formality. He showed up. I don't know if he noticed me, because again, I kind of stood out, because when they called the person, the defendant, that's when you're allowed in the courtroom. So they see, oh, he's like, why is this girl coming in for me? I don't know if he was wondering that, but I came in when they brought him out.
But isn't that court pretty crowded with other people in other cases?
Yeah, but they were very like sequenced, like they told me wait outside until we call out your case.
Okay.
So the court was it wasn't packed. Like when I went to the David trial, it was freaking people. It was like packed rows. It wasn't like that. There was like empty rows everywhere. It was like 8 empty rows, and it was the lawyers up there. So the guy that was sitting in front of me, he was trying to talk to Ant Jefe's public defender, and then the police security told him he could not. She was like, you cannot interfere with their discussion. Like who are you? He was like, well, I don't know who he is, if he's a family member or what, but she was like, you can't interfere with their discussion. You can't advise right now. She was like, you could wait and talk to him when they're done. So she didn't let him go up. He like wanted to go talk to his defender, but the security guard stopped him. So he sat back down, and again, he's sitting right in front of me, and I'm right behind him, and he turns back, he looks at me, and I'm all hi. And he just looked at me, and he just turned back around. Like, I think he knew. He was like, okay, this girl's with the media. I think he immediately could surmise that. And so that was really all that happened in court. They asked him if they're, what they wanted to enter as plea. They both said not guilty. They both are not waiving their right. They have their next court date, June 17th. I'll let you, I wrote some notes about that, Alex. I'm going to need you to kind of guide me on what it means. I know the date is June 17th, but she said 8 of 10. She kept saying 8 of 10, and I don't know what that means.
Did she say 8 of 10 and then add preliminary hearing after that?
I'll go through my notes and remember, because I told you I got some more notes.
Okay, let me just ask you this. Is the next court date of June 17th going to be in that same courtroom, or are they going to move it out?
No, it's in the same courtroom, and I do have the department.
Which that's you were in Department 30, right?
Yeah, but it's not the same department the next time.
All right. Any last words before we wrap this up?
Yeah. So when I left, I followed that guy out, right? Because I wanted to introduce myself and let him know I was there in support of Young Ant, and everybody's innocent until proven guilty. And I wanted to let him know that, right? But he immediately went up to, I think there was a lawyer. I don't know if he was intentionally introducing himself. The lawyer was like, hey, I'm a lawyer, or they already planned to meet. So he immediately linked up with the lawyer in the hallway, And I followed them, and I just didn't feel right interrupting them. But he noticed I was following them, and he was looking at me like, who the fuck are you? Like, why you keep following me? So I wanted to, if he was by himself, I would have been like, hey, but it just, that lawyer just kind of grouped up with him, and then they went on their own floor. So I didn't get to introduce myself, but I wanted to. But it looks like he's getting him a lawyer ASAP.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for tapping in with the Young Ant Jefe trial, perhaps.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And
Sorry.
hopefully on June 17th, they'll set a date for the preliminary hearing. And maybe if you're not too busy, you could stop by and see what happens on June 17th.
Hey, I'll be there for Street TV.
Yeah, I think I'll pull up too.
Okay, dope.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Angee. Have a good one.
You're welcome. Bye, guys.